Hello, this is Harry Hobson, President and CEO of Plymouth Harbor. I'm here again with my partner, Karen Novak, and who's really our point person on all infection control matters here on campus. So, welcome back to the table.
Thank you.
There's several things I'd like to talk about today in this update. Of course, we'll cover COVID-19, and then we'll spend some time on our reopening plans here at Plymouth Harbor and close out with a few words regarding hurricane preparedness. And of course, this is June 1st, and what that means to all of us Floridians is that's the first day of hurricane season, and that'll run all the way to November 30th.
Yes, and we bought our hurricane supplies over the weekend. It was tax-free weekend.
Right.
It's a good start.
Okay, very good. Well, let's go ahead and begin with the COVID-19 update, Karen.
Sure, we continue to have no residents that are positive, nor do we have any staff that are positive either. Right now, we're waiting for the Department of Health to actually come and stop by. They're going to give us a 24-hour heads-up notice that they are indeed coming. The governor has declared that it is mandatory for all the staff at Plymouth Harbor to be tested for COVID, as well as being strongly recommended for you, the resident, to be tested as well. What this does is allow us as a state to really identify the prevalence. It's a snapshot in time, the prevalence of COVID-19 within the state of Florida. It allows us to really look at those asymptomatic residents that are positive, not residents here in Plymouth Harbor, but residents of the state, will be able to tell, what exactly is going on within the state of Florida and maybe identify those asymptomatic carriers.
And you're emphasizing it's mandatory for all of our team members and strongly encouraged for all of our residents. They're serious about this. We know from our colleagues who've already been through this process that we'll receive, I think it's 24-hour notice that they're coming. That 24 hours allows us the opportunity to contact team members who would not normally be working during that period of time, bringing them in, paying them overtime or time that they're here. But the state and the governor's office is very serious about this, and I think it's a good thing.
I think it's a great idea to really understand what we're dealing with so that we can best prepare for that next wave, truly, that's coming down the road.
Absolutely. I'd like to spend some time now at just a little higher level because there'll be plenty of detail coming out later this week and next week regarding our reopening plans here on campus. What you're going to see is a fair amount of activity over the next 4 to 6 weeks in our independent living area. There's going to be a longer timeline for our Smith Care Center, assisted living, and memory care, because those are our regulated areas, and we have to wait for governor's order before we can open up, for example, to visitations.
Right, and I think the governor's really looking at phase 3 and maybe a few weeks after that to open up the skilled area. And again, that's recognizing that that's our highest risk area that we have here on campus. So we're going to be very slow about it and follow the governor's orders.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I was cringing throughout the weekend as I was watching some of the film of what's been going on around the country. And along with the violence is just, boy, the social distancing was totally violated. And I know we're all holding our breath to see if we're going to go through a second wave.
Yep, it's coming, Harry. I think most of the experts will agree.
Yeah.
We're going to see it.
Well, let me begin with one that's already opened, and that's our beauty salon. And as you know, it reopened on May 18th, and it did so successfully with a new set of policies and procedures which adhere to all regulatory agencies and also under the watchful eye of Karen. I know you worked with Wendy and her team in getting it open.
Wendy did a phenomenal job, and she's got all kinds of new processes into place at the beauty shop. And we really thank you for complying with some of that change. But that change is not going to be unique to the beauty shop only. You're going to start seeing it more and more as we roll out new areas.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And let me just mention, we just released a Harbor Light today, so our residents will be getting a copy of this. And I think Emily did a wonderful job leading this up, and it's a great article, and on the beauty salon, gives you some good insight. So it's well done. When you see Emily, give her a congratulations. So well done. Let's talk about visitation now. Before we get into it, and I ask you to take this piece, let me mention that there's no question that it's easier to close than it is to reopen. We have been warned about that. We certainly have been experiencing that. We've spent probably as much time on our reopening as we had COVID-19 over the last month or so. It's got to be done right, systematically, and not rush through this process. It's going to take some getting used to, because when we say something is opening, you'll receive a whole list of the rules and regulations, which are different, and they adhere, once again, to everything that the governor has given us to do.
Correct.
So let's start with visitation.
And again, this is just for the independent residents. The skilled area and the ALF memory care will not have this visitation in place quite yet.
That'll come later.
So for our independent residents, it's going to be a very slow process. It's 2 steps, as a matter of fact. The first step is going to allow the families and visitors to come onto the campus. There, you guys can enjoy some family time, have a picnic out by the tables, take a walk along the boardwalk out there, go to the gazebo. But again, there's rules and a process that you're going to need to comply with. And that's having your family and your friends screened just like you, and then they too will wear that armband on their arm. The second step, if everything goes okay, that first step will actually begin on the 8th. The second step then will begin on the 15th, a week afterwards. During the week of the 8th to the 15th, though, that first week, we're going to really need you to comply with the standards of social distancing and hand hygiene and wearing your masks. Should your guest or family arrive to the campus and they don't have a mask, we'll supply them one at the front desk when they check in for screening. But the second step, I know you all have been really waiting for this one. We're going to start to allow you guys to have that person that you've depended on to drive, to clean your house, to do all those little ancillary things that are so important to you. We recognize that need, and we're going to implement them coming to your apartment again on the 15th. But they too will have to go through that screening process just like everybody else. So we're really hoping to have you guys comply with all the interventions that we've been talking about all along, and know that again, that if things change, we've got to start pulling back on some of that visitation. So help us out.
That's got to be the hard part, if we have to pull some of that back.
Yeah.
Okay, if you've not been listening up to this point, I know you're going to be interested in knowing more about the Wellness Center and our related programs. So let me go through this now, and also let you know that a splash will be coming out on Tuesday. Tomorrow morning you'll receive it, and you'll read what I'm about ready to share with you, and then later this week and next week you'll get detailed instructions from Summer Rents regarding wellness programs by the various sections. So let me go ahead and begin. Phase 1, and there'll be 3 phases, and phase 1 will begin on June 15th. That's 2 weeks. On June 15th, we plan to reopen the bocce ball court, kayak loan program, the outdoor pool and deck area, the art studio, and the wood and craft shops. I'm going to say that again very quickly. Bocce ball, kayak loan program, outdoor pool and deck area, art studio, and wood and craft shop. Phase 2 will follow 2 weeks later. So phase 2 will be tentatively set for June 29th. We plan to reopen the indoor therapy pool, the indoor spa, the activities alcove, that's where the table tennis area is, our fitness center, and common areas in the wellness center, along with our dance studio. One more time very quickly. June 29th, the indoor therapy pool, indoor spa, activities alcove, fitness area, common areas in the Wellness Center and our dance studio. And then 2 weeks after that, on July 13th, we plan to reopen our group exercise programs. So we're excited about that. And both Summer and Tina told me be sure and emphasize tentatively. And that's just because of some of the details that we should have worked out. They feel very optimistic, but if we have to wait for something, it may cause slight delay. So
it's part of those new processes that are going to become our new norm.
That's
so
right.
Some of those interventions have to kind of really be put into place first.
That's correct.
And we want success.
That's right. Dining services. We've not yet set a reopening date for the Mayflower restaurant or the private dining room. That will come a bit later. The Fun Shop is very close to reopening. That could open as early as this Friday, June 5th. So stay tuned for that exact date. Guest rooms not scheduled to reopen until really the conclusion of the window project. So guest rooms won't reopen till early 2021. Now, I want to emphasize how slowly we're doing this, and that is deliberate. It's for all of our health and well-being. It really is. But we're going to get there, and movement has now begun. So I hope you're pleased with that. And let me conclude with just a few comments about the hurricane season preparedness. As I mentioned earlier, today's the first day of hurricane season, and we'll be holding a special resident meeting that's going to be taped mid-week this week and then shown on channel 195 and 196. And you're hearing me say that for the first time because we're going to continue to run these programs on 195, but we're going to start introducing some of these educational programs on 196 as well. We'll run it parallel for a few weeks, and then ultimately all the educational type programs will appear just on 196. So in any event, you'll see it on 195 as normal. So you'll see the resident meeting beginning this Thursday at 8 a.m. and 12 noon. And we'll continue that Thursday, Friday, and probably through next weekend. Now, we did submit our formal proposal to the Sarasota County Emergency Management, which is recommending that in the unlikely event of a mandatory evacuation, that our Smith Care Center, our assisted living, and memory care, along with the independent apartments in the Northwest building, would be able to shelter in place in that unlikely event of a mandatory evacuation. The plan further makes a recommendation for all independent residents to shelter in place once our hurricane windows have been installed in the North Garden and the West Garden. Not likely to occur this year. We'll talk more about that in our residents meeting later this week. That's going to be convened by Tina Wilson, our Vice President of Resident and Team Member Relations, and it's going to include an open forum. Those present will be all of the colony directors. So, and I'll be there, of course, as well. So, once again, just want to thank everybody for your patience, for your support through this process, and we are making some progress as far as reopening. I can feel that for sure now.
Absolutely. You know, compliance is everything too. And without that compliance, we would not be where we're at today. So for all the times that you go, oh my gosh, I've got to wear another mask. Yes, you have to wear another mask. And we're very thankful that you do, because that is what has allowed us to be where we are today, COVID-free and moving forward.
No question.
Good stuff.
Well, before we conclude this video.
Okay. We want to make sure that you are social distancing. Keep that 6-foot perimeter around you at all times. Only 4 people on the elevator, but be sure you're wearing your masks. We want to make sure that you're washing your hands. But most importantly, let's remember to don our masks and be respectful of each other so that we don't share those wonderful germs.
That's
All
right.
Okay.
Well, Karen, this concludes our video today, so that means we must don our masks.
Right.